somebody says they could do something,
Mhm.
say, "Where's your fruit?"
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
what have you done to work
Yeah.
up to be able to do this thing?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about also some of the things that we're up against in our culture. For instance, when we were growing up, there was sort of, at least with my upbringing, my educational upbringing, it was, there were a lot of accolades for someone who was a really good student, and I was a good student. That came naturally to me. But there was little emphasis on preparing for all kinds of life skills.
Yeah.
And for emphasizing that some people are really gifted here, but other people are gifted here, and both are equally valid.
Right.
So one thing a lot of people are up against is just the systems in which they're growing up in, whether it's, little, like, let's talk about the education system now. If you're talking about public schools in particular,
Yeah.
they don't cater to young boys very well.
No.
And so then you have boys who actually are very smart or very gifted in certain ways, but maybe they're not the best in that classroom, the rigid classroom setting where they're having to sit still for 7 hours a day and there's no outlet for all their
Right.
energy. And then they come away thinking that they're not good enough, they're not smart enough,
Yep.
and there's a shame that goes along with that.
Bring back recess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've said that so many times. I mean, I went through a K through 8th grade school, and even in 8th grade, and we were a highly competitive academic school, but we had 2 recesses a day, even as 8th graders.
Mm-hmm.
We had time to get that out of our system, the energy,
Yeah.
you're going to be more focused.
Yep.
So we're up against always a lot of systems. You mentioned people who think they're great influencers. Well, now we're up against, this social media mentality. I
Yeah.
want to be a social media influencer, or I want to be this, or I want to be that. Whereas in the past, we didn't have, when we were growing up, there wasn't this pressure of to be somebody important. You
we
wanted
were-
to get a good job and you wanted to go on and
We
live
were
life.
alone, and we would go home to an empty house
Mhm.
at times,
Yeah.
and you just watched TV, did your homework, and ate a snack.
Figured out how to
do
do things.
things.
Yeah.
And you didn't have a tablet. You didn't have
Mm-hmm.
any of the stuff to look up information.
Mm-hmm.
We were just watching a video about stuff like that, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like, yeah, the latchkey kids.
Yeah. Yeah. So, every generation has, its challenges that it has to face. But ultimately, I've dealt with this so many times. You get frustrated with me, and then you'll do the same thing, and I'll get frustrated with you. I'll feel like, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? Feeling like, just feeling kind of lost in the wilderness. And we
everybody
all go
does.
through that.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
And we have got to come down to the conclusion that God does have a purpose for us
Mm-hmm.
in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes that purpose doesn't seem as rock star as other people's purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But our purpose is just as important
Right.
to society and to the kingdom
Yeah.
as the person that is, up on the stage and, running around in lights. And if some